Have you ever felt the cold weight of someone's gaze on you and wondered, do they really just dislike me? Or is it something deeper? That uneasy knot in your stomach, the tension in your chest, it's not just discomfort. It's your mind begging for clarity, your heart craving understanding. You see, the truth is, people who harbor more than simple dislike can shape the way you see yourself, the way you move through the world, and even the way you dream about your future. And recognizing the difference is not just a curiosity, it's a survival tool, a compass to navigate relationships, power, and your own sense of self-worth. When you understand the signs, you don't just protect yourself, you rise above the subtle currents of negativity that can pull you under. This isn't about paranoia or suspicion. This is about awareness and the power that comes from seeing things clearly. Some people don't just dislike you. They fear you, envy you, or feel threatened by the fire inside you. They may try to hide it with politeness, smiles, or distant small talk. But beneath that veneer lies a quiet, intense emotion that can either drain your energy or push you to awaken the strength you didn't know you had. When you learn to read these signals, you gain control. You gain the power to respond with clarity instead of confusion, courage instead of hesitation, and confidence instead of doubt. Imagine the freedom that comes from not guessing at every glance, every word, every subtle gesture. Imagine moving through life without letting hidden animosity chip away at your focus or your joy. That freedom is yours when you understand that some tensions aren't personal accidents, they are deliberate, and recognizing them gives you a strategic advantage. You begin to see the difference between someone who simply doesn't like you and someone whose emotions run far deeper, whose intentions carry weight that matters. This knowledge is not just enlightening, it's liberating. It allows you to redirect your energy toward growth, toward your goals, and toward relationships that elevate you instead of drain you. And here's the reward for staying present with this insight. The more you notice these signs, the more you become untouchable by subtle negativity. You start to move through life with a quiet confidence, a sense of calm that comes from knowing exactly where you stand and why. You can anticipate challenges before they escalate. You can protect your energy without becoming bitter. You can confront tension with courage instead of fear. Every sign you learn is a tool, a secret key to mastering interactions and turning moments of potential conflict into opportunities for growth. So as we begin this journey together, understand this. The next minutes are not just about spotting behaviors. They are about reclaiming your power, sharpening your instincts, and seeing the world with clarity that most people never reach. If you stay with me until the end, you will not only recognize the deeper truths behind other people's emotions, you will transform the way you engage with the world entirely. You will learn to carry yourself with strength, grace, and awareness. And in that presence, no hidden hatred can dim your light. Would you allow yourself to see the truth, even when it's uncomfortable? Would you step into a new level of awareness that strengthens you, rather than fear it? If the answer is yes, then the next insight will change the way you navigate every tense interaction from this moment forward. Have you noticed how some people never just disagree? They undermine, they dismiss, they twist your words, and yet they never openly confront you. There is a quiet intensity behind their actions, a subtle force that is more than simple dislike. It is rooted in something deeper, a complex web of emotion that targets your energy, your confidence, and your sense of security. And when you feel it, even without understanding it fully, it can make you question yourself. But that doubt is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their struggle to contain emotions they cannot control. Recognizing this is the first step toward reclaiming the power they hope to diminish. Your awareness becomes your armor. When someone's feelings go beyond dislike, their actions often carry a hidden weight. They linger longer in moments of tension, they inject subtle criticism where praise should exist, and they radiate discomfort in spaces you occupy confidently. This is not a sign that you are weak. It is a signal that you are strong, that your presence stirs reactions they cannot suppress. Understanding this flips the script entirely. Instead of shrinking under the weight of their hidden animosity, you can rise with the knowledge that your impact matters. You are seen, perhaps more than you realize, and that visibility is a reflection of your power, not their malice. The mind is incredibly sensitive to energy. When someone harbors something deeper than hatred, you sense it in ways you cannot always name. Their eyes may dart, their tone may shift, and their words may carry a subtle edge. At first you may feel confused, wondering if it is your imagination. But this is not a guessing game. It is a language of emotion that, once understood, gives you an edge in life. You begin to perceive patterns, to anticipate behavior, and to respond with clarity instead of reaction. This awareness is a gift, a tool that transforms moments of potential tension into opportunities to demonstrate composure, intelligence, and unshakable presence. The reward of this understanding is profound. Every subtle glance that once unsettled, you can now be met with calm. Every passive-aggressive remark that once pierced your confidence can now be absorbed without diminishing your power. You move through spaces knowing that the energy someone directs at you is a reflection of their inner battle, not a measure of your worth. You stop carrying the weight of their emotions, and in doing so, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your vision, and the life you are building with intention and courage. This awareness sharpens your intuition and strengthens your boundaries. You begin to recognize the difference between people who challenge you constructively and those who project their insecurities onto you. You see it in the way they speak, in the subtle patterns of behavior, and in the tension that clings to your interactions. And when you recognize it, you no longer fear it. Instead, you harness it. You let it inform your actions, guide your decisions, and fortify your self-respect. In the quiet moments of reflection, you understand that true strength is not in avoiding conflict. It is in perceiving it fully, naming it, and standing tall despite it. You are not powerless in the face of hidden animosity. On the contrary, every insight you gain, every signal you read, every realization you internalize makes you stronger, more aware, and more resilient. You no longer drift aimlessly in the currents of others' emotions. You navigate deliberately, with purpose, and with unwavering confidence. Your presence becomes unshakable because it is rooted not in denial or ignorance, but in clarity, awareness, and the profound understanding that your worth cannot be diminished by the unseen battles of others. Would you allow yourself to step fully into that clarity? To feel the power of knowing the truth beneath the surface and letting it guide you? Because once you do, nothing can obscure your path, and every interaction becomes a chance to rise higher than you ever imagined. Have you ever sensed it? The quiet tension in the air when someone is near you, an energy that doesn't just feel like annoyance, but something sharper, something insistent. That feeling is your intuition speaking, the part of you that knows when someone's emotions toward you are not casual, not fleeting, not ordinary. It is a subtle alarm, and it exists for a reason: to guide you, to protect you, and to awaken the strength you already carry. Those who harbor more than simple dislike often reveal themselves not through loud confrontation, but through patterns of subtle, persistent behavior. And the ability to read those patterns is not just skill, it is power, a way to step fully into your own presence without hesitation, fear, or doubt. People who feel something deeper than hatred often test boundaries without ever showing their hand completely. Their words may be measured, their tone careful, but the undercurrent is unmistakable. They create friction, not with explosive confrontation, but with small, consistent shifts in behavior that chip away at comfort. You may feel ignored at times, dismissed at others, or met with an inexplicable resistance. At first, it can make you question yourself, your actions, even your own value. But this is exactly where you must anchor yourself in truth. Their reactions are not a mirror of your worth. They are a reflection of the intensity you inspire, the presence you carry, and the threat their insecurities cannot tolerate. Every glance, every subtle tone, every pause that feels heavy in a conversation carries meaning. These are not accidents. The more you learn to perceive these cues, the more you develop a form of emotional intelligence that few ever attain. You begin to understand the invisible dynamics at play, and with that understanding comes freedom. You no longer respond reactively, no longer absorb their tension as though it defines you. Instead, you move through their energy deliberately, maintaining your equilibrium and turning every interaction into an opportunity to demonstrate resilience, poise, and unshakable self-respect. The deeper truth is that awareness transforms fear into strength. Recognizing someone's underlying animosity does not mean you must confront it aggressively, nor does it mean you become hardened or bitter. It means you become wise, attuned, and strategic. You gain the ability to navigate relationships with clarity, to protect your energy, and to respond in ways that serve your growth rather than their discomfort. It is in this space that transformation occurs, the moment when you realize that no one's hidden resentment can define your trajectory unless you allow it to. Imagine moving through life fully aware, reading energy with precision, and using every sign of tension as a tool to strengthen your focus and determination. You stop second-guessing yourself, stop shrinking under invisible pressure, and start stepping into each moment with intention. You become someone whose presence commands respect, not through fear, but through clarity, confidence, and unwavering self-assurance. The signals that once unsettled you now become a map, guiding you to protect your mind, nurture your purpose, and harness the power that lies within. Every subtle act of resistance you encounter is not an obstacle. It is a mirror, reflecting the strength you are capable of embodying. You learn to move gracefully through hidden hostility, transforming what could have been a source of anxiety into fuel for growth. Your energy becomes untouchable, your focus unbreakable, and your sense of self unshakable. The world may carry subtle tests, hidden tensions, and quiet judgments, but with each insight you gain, you rise above them, untethered, empowered, and fully alive to your own potential. Do you feel it? The clarity, the quiet strength, the power of understanding what lies beneath the surface? That awareness is not passive. It is a force, a foundation, and a doorway into a version of yourself that cannot be swayed by the hidden agendas of others. And stepping through that doorway changes everything. Have you ever noticed the way some people react when you succeed, even in the smallest ways? A promotion, a compliment, a personal victory. Moments that should feel ordinary suddenly carry a tension that cannot be ignored. Their reaction isn't just indifference, it's something deeper, sharper, and more revealing. When someone feels more than simple dislike, their response to your achievements becomes a measure of their inner struggle. They may smile, they may nod, but beneath the surface there is a quiet resistance, a subtle attempt to diminish your light so that their own insecurities feel less exposed. Recognizing this is not about judgment, it is about awakening to the truth that your presence, your growth, and your ambition matter, and that some will unconsciously resist that reality. Your ability to perceive this is a gift. It is your mind and your heart signaling that you are moving in the right direction, that you are expanding, that your energy is visible and impactful. Those who feel threatened by your success are not reflections of your limitations. They are mirrors of their own. And when you understand this, you no longer need to shrink, apologize, or hide your progress. Instead, you step into every space with confidence, knowing that the energy you emit will naturally challenge those who are not ready to see it. You learn that the tension you feel around certain people is a confirmation, not a condemnation. A confirmation that you are moving forward, growing stronger, and living fully. Every subtle undermining, every hidden critique, every microaggression is a signal. It is not an accident, and it is not personal in the way your mind may fear. These moments are opportunities to strengthen your awareness, to solidify your boundaries, and to refine the way you interact with the world. You begin to see that energy is contagious and that your response shapes outcomes far more than anyone else's attempts to sway them. The more you perceive, the more deliberate you become. You transform hidden hostility into clarity, distraction into focus, and doubt into determination. The freedom that comes from this understanding is profound. You stop absorbing the subtle resistance of others as though it defines you. You no longer allow their discomfort to dictate your choices, cloud your mind, or dim your drive. Instead, you anchor yourself in the truth that your value is independent of their perception. You learn to operate from a place of unshakable self-respect, moving through tension with grace and authority, and letting their reactions reveal nothing about your limitations but everything about their inability to embrace your light. This awareness builds an inner fortress. Every glance of envy, every unspoken critique, and every quiet act of resistance becomes a reminder of your resilience. You become impervious to the hidden currents that once unsettled you, and you begin to harness them to sharpen your focus and deepen your resolve. You start to carry yourself in ways that cannot be diminished by subtle animosity, because your power comes not from others' validation, but from your clarity, your commitment, and your unrelenting dedication to growth. The impact of this realization extends beyond mere defense. It transforms every interaction into a space of opportunity. You move with precision, purpose, and unwavering awareness. The world may attempt to project its fears, insecurities, and hidden judgments onto you, but each time it does, you meet it with strength, insight, and calm. Your energy becomes untouchable, your focus unbreakable, and your presence undeniable. And in that presence, you discover a profound truth. No hidden hatred, no quiet resistance, no veiled jealousy can ever limit the life you are determined to create. Do you feel the shift, the clarity, the quiet empowerment rising within you? That awareness is not passive, it is a force. It is the fuel that propels you beyond fear, doubt, and limitation, and it is the foundation of a life lived with courage, purpose, and unshakable confidence. Have you ever felt the weight of silence? Not the calm that brings peace, but the silence that isolates, that signals something unresolved, something deeper than words can convey? This is often the language of people who feel more than simple dislike. Their absence of direct confrontation is not absence of feeling. It is a quiet, simmering presence that lingers in the spaces you occupy, creating tension without explanation. It is the tension that speaks volumes, and it is here in these unspoken moments that your awareness becomes your most powerful tool. When you can feel it, name it, and move through it without fear, you step into a realm of clarity few ever reach. You realize that their hidden animosity is not a measure of your inadequacy, but a reflection of the impact you have, the presence you command, and the strength you carry silently but unmistakably. The subtle ways this manifests are everywhere. It can be a pause in a conversation, a glance that flickers and then disappears, or an inexplicable coldness that appears when you enter a room. At first, you may question yourself, wondering if you imagined it, if you overreacted. But deep down, you know something is there. That inner knowing is your instinct, your intuition, honed by countless interactions and moments of awareness. Learning to trust it is transformative. It allows you to navigate the world with precision, to understand where energy is being directed, and to choose how you respond rather than react. You gain the ability to turn what once unsettled you into insight, strategy, and quiet strength. Recognizing these patterns is not about cultivating paranoia or resentment. It is about reclaiming your power. It is about understanding that the energy others emit is not your responsibility, but your awareness of it is your advantage. Every subtle act of avoidance, every veiled critique, and every withheld word is a message. And when you decode it, you no longer move blindly. You move with intention, unshaken by invisible currents, and untethered from the limitations others try to project onto you. You see clearly who they are, what motivates them, and how to preserve your energy while maintaining your integrity and focus. The reward of this awareness is immense. It gives you the freedom to act without fear, to occupy space without hesitation, and to thrive in environments that once felt hostile. You learn that hidden hostility is powerless against someone who understands it fully and responds with calm, clarity, and strategic awareness. Instead of being drained by unseen battles, you channel that energy into growth, into focus, and into the relentless pursuit of your goals. You become unshakable not because the world conforms to you, but because your mind, your heart, and your presence are aligned with purpose and strength. Every moment of tension you once absorbed now becomes an opportunity to strengthen your boundaries, refine your intuition, and cultivate resilience. You no longer fear the subtle resistance of others. You anticipate it, understand it, and rise above it. Your awareness transforms every interaction into a space of empowerment, where you are not defined by hidden resentment, but by the depth of your clarity and the breadth of your courage. You move through life with a precision born of understanding, a calm born of confidence, and a strength born of knowing your own worth. Feel it rising within you, the insight, the clarity, the quiet power. This is the force that makes you untouchable, unshakable, and unstoppable. It is the awareness that no hidden animosity, no silent tension, and no unspoken hostility can ever limit the life you are building. And once you claim it fully, you step into a version of yourself that is fearless, resilient, and profoundly alive. Have you ever sensed a subtle tension in someone's gaze, a lingering look that doesn't simply observe, but measures, judges, and tests you in ways words never could? This is the mark of someone who feels more than ordinary dislike, someone whose emotions toward you are tangled, complex, and undeniably significant. It is not anger that bursts in the open. It is not casual annoyance that can be shrugged off. It is an undercurrent of energy, a force that seeks to define you without speaking, and it challenges you to recognize your own presence, your own power, and the boundaries you must claim. When you feel this, it is an invitation to awaken. It is an opportunity to confront not them, but your own capacity for strength, awareness, and resilience. Those who carry this intensity often cannot disguise it fully. They may smile politely, they may engage with courtesy, but their eyes, their posture, the energy they radiate is charged with an unspoken tension. It is a quiet but unmistakable signal that they feel threatened, unsettled, or provoked by the very essence of who you are. And here lies your opportunity to perceive it, to understand it, and to respond not with fear or frustration, but with clarity, calm, and unshakable confidence. This awareness is more than self-protection. It is the development of a mind attuned to truth, a heart anchored in self-respect, and a presence that cannot be diminished by the subtle hostility of others. When you recognize this dynamic, you begin to see interactions differently. Conversations that once felt uncertain now reveal patterns. The pauses, the choice of words, the carefully measured responses. They are not random. They are evidence of a deeper emotional reality. And by observing it, you gain power. Not power to retaliate, not power to manipulate, but power to move deliberately through life with heightened awareness, to protect your energy, and to maintain your momentum even when others attempt to cloud it. You become strategic, not reactive, aware, not defensive, intentional, not constrained by fear. The inner transformation that arises from this understanding is profound. You stop absorbing the energy of others as though it defined your worth. You stop shrinking, over-explaining, or apologizing for the very qualities that provoke their unease. Instead, you anchor yourself in the certainty of your own presence, knowing that the tension you sense is not a measure of your inadequacy, but a mirror reflecting the intensity, authenticity, and impact you naturally carry. This is freedom. The freedom to exist fully, powerfully, and unshakably in a world that often tests your confidence without ever speaking directly. Every subtle gaze, every hidden critique, every quiet act of resistance becomes a tool for your growth. You learn to interpret energy as guidance, to read between the lines of human behavior, and to move with foresight and precision. The world no longer has the power to unsettle you through silent disapproval. Instead, you transform potential challenges into exercises in focus, patience, and emotional mastery. You begin to inhabit a space where nothing hidden can catch you off guard because your awareness and self-possession have grown stronger than any unspoken hostility. Feel it, the rise of clarity, the strengthening of resolve, the quiet surge of confidence. This is the power that makes you untouchable, the insight that makes you unshakable, and the presence that makes you unstoppable. The subtle signals of hidden animosity no longer intimidate, they illuminate. And in their illumination, you step further into yourself, into your potential, and into a life defined not by others' judgments, but by the unwavering depth of your courage, awareness, and strength. Have you ever noticed how some people speak to you with words that seem kind, but the energy behind them feels off? It's as if every sentence carries a weight, a subtle force that presses against your confidence, testing your presence without ever revealing itself openly. This is the hallmark of someone whose feelings toward you run deeper than dislike. It is not casual irritation, nor is it simple envy. It is a complex tension, a quiet but persistent energy that measures, compares, and resists your very existence. And when you recognize this, when you feel it fully without flinching, you are stepping into a new realm of self-awareness, one where your perception becomes your greatest tool and your clarity becomes your greatest strength. Their words, though superficially polite, often carry hidden meanings. Compliments are delivered in a tone that subtly undermines. Questions are asked with a curiosity that feels probing rather than genuine. There is a careful dance in their communication, a choreography designed to test boundaries and elicit reactions. The power lies not in the words themselves, but in the energy that accompanies them. And here is where your transformation begins. By noticing the energy, by understanding its intent, and by refusing to allow it to shape your self-worth, you reclaim control. You see clearly that their tension is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is a reflection of the impact you have, the presence you command, and the strength you radiate simply by existing fully and unapologetically. This awareness is liberating. It allows you to interpret every interaction as data rather than drama, as insight rather than insult. You no longer react impulsively to subtle digs, veiled critiques, or measured words. Instead, you observe, understand, and respond with calm authority. Every exchange becomes a training ground for emotional intelligence, resilience, and self-possession. You learn that the invisible battles others try to wage cannot touch you unless you invite them in. And when you hold that knowledge, every word, every glance, and every gesture becomes an opportunity to reinforce your boundaries, sharpen your focus, and deepen your confidence. The freedom that comes from this is profound. You begin to move through spaces that once felt tense with ease. Conversations that previously left you uncertain now reveal patterns and signals that guide your decisions. You understand that hidden tension is not a measure of your worth, but a measure of your influence. The more you notice, the more empowered you become. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You no longer apologize for the very qualities that make you strong, unique, and vital. Instead, you occupy space with certainty, with integrity, and with a presence that cannot be diminished by subtle resistance. Every interaction becomes a lesson in mastery. You start to see the invisible currents of energy, to anticipate subtle challenges, and to move through them with deliberate calm. The quiet hostility that once unsettled you now sharpens your perception, fortifies your boundaries, and strengthens your resolve. You transform potential tension into momentum, every silent test into a reaffirmation of your clarity, and every hidden pushback into proof of the force you carry naturally. Feel it rising within you, the deep, unshakable confidence, the heightened awareness, the unstoppable presence. This is the power that makes subtle hostility powerless. This is the force that transforms hidden resistance into clarity, insight, and unwavering self-mastery. Every word and every glance that once felt threatening now illuminates your path, guiding you toward the life you are determined to create, defined by courage, awareness, and unyielding strength. Have you ever sensed someone's energy shift the moment you enter a room, as if their presence recoils or stiffens in ways that words cannot capture? It is subtle, yet unmistakable. It is the invisible tension that communicates more than any sentence could, and it marks the difference between ordinary dislike and something deeper, something more personal. This energy is a mirror, reflecting the impact you have simply by being yourself, fully aware and unapologetically present. Recognizing it is not a call to fear, but a call to awaken, an invitation to heighten your perception, embrace your inner strength, and harness the clarity that comes when you can read beneath the surface. Those who feel this intensity cannot hide it entirely. Their smiles may be measured, their gestures controlled, their voice calm, yet their energy vibrates with an undercurrent of resistance. It is the energy of someone who struggles with your presence, who is unsettled by your confidence, or who fears the strength they perceive in you. Understanding this is transformative. You no longer interpret their behavior as a reflection of your flaws. You begin to see it as a reflection of your power, your authenticity, and the undeniable force of your self-possession. Every subtle reaction they have becomes a lesson in human psychology, a window into how energy flows and how influence is felt even when unspoken. This awareness changes everything. You stop internalizing the invisible tension. You stop questioning your worth or shrinking to make others comfortable. Instead, you observe, you understand, and you act with intention. Every subtle shift in energy becomes an insight rather than a threat. Every hidden critique becomes a prompt for strategic calm, and every unspoken test becomes an opportunity to reinforce your boundaries in your presence. You transform uncertainty into clarity, fear into confidence, and tension into momentum. The power lies not in changing them, but in mastering yourself and your response to the world around you. As you cultivate this awareness, you begin to move through life with precision and calm. You notice the invisible signals in conversations, in meetings, in casual interactions. You recognize which energy deserves your attention and which does not. You no longer waste time or strength on battles that exist only in subtlety. Instead, you preserve your energy for growth, for action, and for the pursuit of your own goals. The people whose energy challenges you inadvertently teach you how to stand taller, speak clearer, and exist more fully. Their tension becomes your guide, sharpening your focus and expanding your presence. The liberation that comes from this is profound. You occupy space with certainty. You interact with purpose, knowing that hidden resistance cannot define you. You respond to subtle hostility not with reaction, but with awareness, and this awareness becomes your armor, your compass, and your strength. Every glance, every pause, every carefully measured word from others now serves to illuminate your path rather than cloud it. You understand that the true power lies not in avoiding the energy of others, but in mastering your own response and using it to elevate your life. Feel it, the growing confidence, the unshakable clarity, the quiet, relentless power that rises within you. The subtle unease of others no longer threatens you, it confirms your presence and your impact. You are learning to navigate the world with insight, courage, and self-possession. You are stepping into a version of yourself that sees clearly, moves deliberately, and thrives regardless of hidden tension. You are unstoppable, not because the world conforms to you, but because your strength, awareness, and presence have become unbreakable. Have you ever felt the weight of someone's eyes on you, not with anger, not with hate, but with an intensity that unsettles, that makes the air around you feel charged? This is not casual dislike. This is a deeper current, a force that reacts to your very existence, your presence, your energy. It is a silent challenge, a test of your awareness and your resolve. Recognizing it is not a call to retreat, it is a call to awaken. It is a signal that you are stepping into spaces where your presence matters, where your energy is noticed, and where your inner strength is being silently measured. This realization is powerful because it shifts the focus from others to yourself, from what they feel to what you command, and from fear to mastery. The subtle tension in someone's gaze or posture is not random. It is a reflection of their inner conflict, their discomfort, and sometimes their envy. When you begin to perceive it, you see that it is not about diminishing you, but about acknowledging the force you carry. Every glance that lingers too long, every slight hesitation in their words, every measure of energy that feels like resistance, it is a mirror showing that your presence has power. And here lies the transformative moment, understanding that their unease is not your weakness, but evidence of the strength and authenticity you embody. The realization that you affect the world simply by existing fully and unapologetically is a revelation that fuels courage, confidence, and clarity. This awareness allows you to step into interactions differently. You no longer react impulsively or take invisible tension personally. Instead, you observe, you analyze, and you respond with intention. Every subtle challenge becomes an opportunity to reinforce your boundaries, to assert your clarity, and to cultivate unshakable confidence. The energy others radiate becomes information, a guide rather than a threat. You recognize patterns, anticipate reactions, and navigate spaces with precision. This is not manipulation. It is mastery. Mastery over your own presence, your emotions, and the way you allow the world to impact you. You reclaim the power that so often feels lost when subtle hostility goes unnoticed or misunderstood. The effect of this transformation is profound. Your interactions, once charged with uncertainty, now become arenas for self-possession. You move through tension with calm authority, no longer weighed down by the unspoken judgments of others. Every glance, every carefully chosen word from someone else now reinforces your awareness rather than diminishes it. You begin to see the hidden dynamics in relationships, in workplaces, in social interactions, and use this understanding to elevate your presence rather than shrink from it. The energy that once seemed threatening becomes a tool for growth, a reflection of your ability to remain composed, focused, and powerful. The freedom this brings is extraordinary. You begin to occupy space with confidence. You act with purpose, speak with clarity, and navigate life with a sense of invulnerability rooted in self-knowledge. Subtle resistance, hidden tension, and quiet unease no longer have the power to destabilize you. Instead, they illuminate the path toward greater awareness, deeper confidence, and stronger personal mastery. Every interaction becomes a testament to your resilience, every subtle challenge a prompt to rise higher, and every glance a reminder that your presence is meaningful, impactful, and undeniable. Feel it rising, the clarity, the unshakable confidence, the unstoppable force within. You are learning to perceive energy, to understand intent, and to act with precision. You are stepping into a version of yourself that thrives regardless of hidden tension, that shines in the presence of subtle opposition, and that moves through life with courage, awareness, and unyielding strength. You are powerful beyond measure, and the world is beginning to notice. Have you noticed how some people's words are measured? Their tone careful, almost neutral, yet beneath it lies a tension that you can feel in your bones? It is not overt hostility, not outright hatred, but something more profound, a resistance that speaks to their perception of your presence, your confidence, and your ability to command attention without asking for permission. This subtle opposition is a test, a mirror, a reflection of how fully you exist in the world. Recognizing it is a revelation because it teaches you that influence is never silent, and the energy you carry touches everyone around you, whether they admit it or not. It is a wake-up call to your own power, to the force of your presence, and to the responsibility that comes with awareness. This kind of tension is often overlooked, dismissed as inconsequential, but it is the heartbeat of human psychology. People react not just to actions, but to essence. They feel the energy you emit, the confidence in your posture, the clarity in your voice, the certainty in your steps, and their internal world adjusts, sometimes unconsciously, in response. What you once may have perceived as minor discomfort or subtle critique is, in reality, a recognition of your capacity to stand firmly in your truth. Understanding this flips the script. Instead of questioning yourself, you begin to see that the ripples you create are proof of your authenticity and power. Every hesitated word, every carefully contained gesture around you is evidence that you matter. You are noticed, whether you seek attention or not. Awareness of this subtle tension changes your approach to life entirely. You no longer respond defensively or internalize the invisible friction around you. Instead, you see it clearly, and it becomes a tool for growth. The resistance in others becomes a lesson in self-mastery. You learn to navigate spaces with precision, to communicate with intention, and to hold your ground without compromise. The energy of those around you becomes a barometer of influence, a guide for how to present your best self, and a mirror for your own strength. Every subtle challenge they emit becomes a test, not of your worth, but of your resilience and composure. As you cultivate this perception, your interactions take on a new depth. You move with deliberate calm, speak with unwavering clarity, and exist in a space that is undeniably yours. You understand that the world's subtle resistance is not a threat, but a confirmation of your impact. It is an invisible acknowledgement of the power you wield simply by being present. No longer do you shrink or hesitate to assert yourself. Instead, you move with precision and authority. You recognize the dynamics at play and use them to enhance your awareness, your clarity, and your influence. Every encounter becomes an opportunity to refine your confidence and deepen your self-possession. The liberation that comes from this understanding is transformative. You occupy space without apology. You act with purpose without hesitation. You are no longer swayed by hidden tension or unspoken judgments. Instead, you harness them as insight, as feedback, as motivation to rise higher and shine brighter. Your presence becomes unassailable, your energy magnetic, and your awareness sharp. Every subtle opposition confirms your significance, strengthens your resolve, and challenges you to become the fullest, most powerful version of yourself. Feel it, the rising strength, the clarity of purpose, the unstoppable momentum that comes when you recognize the invisible currents around you and choose to move through them with mastery. You are no longer defined by how others react to you, but by how fully you embrace your own presence, your own power, and your unwavering journey toward greatness. You are more than noticed. You are unforgettable. Have you ever felt a presence that watches, not with hatred, not with anger, but with an intensity that challenges the very way you move, speak, and think? This is not ordinary observation. This is recognition of power, of clarity, of a life lived with purpose. Some people react not because of what you do, but because of what you represent. The courage to exist fully, the determination to rise, and the authenticity that refuses to bend to anyone's expectations. Feeling this is not discomfort. It is confirmation. Confirmation that you matter, that your energy resonates, and that your presence has weight in a world that often tries to ignore the quiet power of those who refuse to shrink. The subtle signals are everywhere if you pay attention. The brief pause in conversation, the slight shift in posture, the energy that tightens whenever you enter a room. These are not acts of malice. They are mirrors reflecting the effect you have on the world. Your presence challenges them, not because you provoke intentionally, but because you exist in alignment with yourself. This is a gift, not a curse. When you recognize this, you begin to shift your focus from defending against perceived hostility to understanding your own influence. Every subtle reaction you observe is proof that your energy is noticed, that your confidence resonates, and that the authenticity you carry is impossible to ignore. Understanding this changes everything. You no longer internalize every glance or measure every word against imagined judgments. You see the energy for what it is, information. It tells you how others perceive strength, how they measure courage, and how they respond to someone who refuses to compromise their essence. Instead of shrinking, you grow. Instead of reacting, you master. You take control of your presence, your actions, and the way you allow external forces to influence your inner world. Every subtle opposition becomes an opportunity, a prompt to sharpen your awareness, deepen your clarity, and reinforce the boundaries that protect your energy. This awareness also cultivates resilience. You learn that your impact is not always recognized with warmth, and that is not your concern. What matters is how you move through life, how you hold yourself in the face of subtle resistance, and how you use every reaction around you as a mirror for growth. The tension you sense is not a reflection of weakness, but of significance. It is a signal that your presence matters more than you ever realized. Every glance of quiet scrutiny is a testament to the influence you wield simply by existing authentically, by acting with purpose, and by refusing to hide the power that lives inside you. The freedom that emerges from this understanding is profound. You begin to walk through spaces with unwavering confidence, speak with clarity that cannot be shaken, and occupy every room without apology. You stop measuring yourself against the silent judgments of others and start measuring yourself against your own potential. Every subtle challenge becomes fuel, every careful observation a tool, and every unspoken tension a reminder of the strength you hold. You are no longer defined by others' inability to handle your energy. You are defined by your ability to harness it, channel it, and rise above it with clarity and intention. Feel it, the undeniable force within you, the clarity that sharpens your focus, the courage that refuses to be diminished. Every subtle reaction you encounter is a mirror showing your own power. You are no longer invisible, no longer subdued, no longer unsure. You are awake, you are aware, you are unstoppable, your presence commands, your energy inspires, and your life becomes a testament to the power of existing fully, courageously, and unshakably in your own truth. Have you ever sensed a gaze that lingers longer than it should? A focus that doesn't just see you, but studies you, measures you, challenges you? This is not about dislike or superficial judgment. This is deeper. This is a recognition of presence, of energy, of a life lived with intention that cannot be ignored. Some people react not to your words or actions, but to the force you emit, the unwavering certainty, the quiet strength, the refusal to fit neatly into expectations that do not serve you. Feeling this is not a threat. It is evidence. Evidence that you matter, that your existence impacts those around you, and that your energy cannot be diminished simply by silence or avoidance. Every subtle shift, every moment of hesitation in others is a reflection of the effect you have. When someone's tone tightens, when their expressions flicker with discomfort or surprise, it is not always about you personally. It is about the recognition of your potential, your power, and your authenticity. This is the kind of presence that cannot be overlooked, the kind that tests the equilibrium of those around you. You are not meant to shrink. You are not meant to question your worth. You are meant to understand that the ripple you create in the world is a signal that you are alive in a way that matters. This awareness is transformative because it repositions every interaction from threat to insight, every subtle friction from anxiety to opportunity. As you tune into this energy, you realize that the reactions of others are data, not judgment. They tell you how influence is felt, how confidence is perceived, and how authenticity resonates in the spaces you occupy. No longer do you waste energy trying to manage perceptions or soften your impact. Instead, you learn to move deliberately, to speak with clarity, and to exist with intentionality. Every moment of subtle resistance becomes a mirror, reflecting both the strength you carry and the growth that awaits when you harness it. You see that power is not about confrontation. It is about presence, awareness, and the ability to remain grounded when the world tries to provoke unease. This understanding cultivates resilience and precision. You begin to navigate every environment with a sense of authority that is quiet but unshakable. You no longer seek approval or validation because your worth is defined by the integrity of your actions and the alignment of your intentions. Every subtle challenge you encounter is a chance to practice composure, to sharpen your focus, and to deepen your mastery of self. You learn to perceive influence not as a tool for control over others, but as a reflection of the energy you radiate and the power of simply being present without apology. The liberation that comes from this awareness is profound. You step into spaces fully aware of the dynamics at play, yet unbound by them. You speak, act, and move with precision and confidence that cannot be disrupted by the subtle tensions around you. Every glance of quiet scrutiny becomes a testament to the significance of your presence. Every unspoken test, an invitation to embody the highest version of yourself. You are no longer distracted by reactions that do not serve you. You are focused, empowered, and unshakable. Feel it, the power within you, the clarity that guides your every step, the courage that refuses to be diminished. Every subtle opposition, every measured gaze, every unspoken tension is proof of your impact. You are not just seen, you are felt, you are a force. And the world around you will never be the same because you choose to exist fully, authentically, and unyieldingly in your truth. Have you ever noticed how some people react to you, not with open hostility, but with a tension that lingers, a subtle scrutiny that never fully fades? It is a feeling that unsettles, yet draws attention to a truth you might not have admitted to yourself. Your presence matters, not superficially, not because of your actions alone, but because of the force of your authenticity, the clarity of your purpose, and the energy you carry without compromise. This is not about fear or resentment. It is about recognition. It is the quiet acknowledgement that someone who lives fully, unapologetically, and deliberately cannot be ignored. The very awareness of your existence challenges others to confront their own discomfort, their own limitations, and their own insecurities. Every slight hesitation, every careful word, every measured glance is a mirror reflecting the reality that you have power, not over them, but within yourself. When you understand this, The subtle tension you feel shifts from something to endure into something to observe, to learn from, and to leverage for your own growth. The world responds not to weakness, but to strength. It tests it, measures it, and occasionally struggles to contain it. You are that force. You are the one whose energy illuminates rooms and challenges assumptions, whose confidence becomes impossible to overlook. The key is to recognize that this tension is not a signal to retreat. It is a signal to rise, to own your presence, and to channel every ounce of your energy into the person you are becoming. This awareness changes the way you interact with the world. You no longer react defensively to subtle discomfort or quiet judgment. Instead, you begin to perceive every nuance, every micro-expression, every silent calculation as data, a map showing where influence, perception, and energy converge. You learn that you cannot control how others respond to your light, but you can control how brightly you shine. You discover that your authenticity is magnetic, your clarity is disarming, and your presence is transformative. Every glance, every pause, every unspoken observation becomes an opportunity to deepen your self-mastery, refine your focus, and fortify the boundaries that protect your energy. This perception breeds resilience. You begin to navigate spaces with intentionality, aware of the currents of influence and observation, yet anchored in your own truth. The subtle reactions of others no longer provoke insecurity, they provoke insight. They teach you to measure your energy, refine your actions, and trust the power that lies within. You realize that resistance is not a reflection of your flaws, but of your impact. It is evidence that you exist with purpose, that your actions carry weight, and that the authenticity you embody cannot be ignored or diluted. The freedom that comes from understanding this is profound. You walk with unshakable confidence, speak with clarity, and occupy every space without apology. Every silent test of your presence is no longer intimidating. It is confirmation that you matter, that you influence, and that your energy resonates. You are no longer defined by the discomfort of others, but by the strength of your own presence. You are awake to your power, aware of your influence, and committed to living boldly. Every subtle reaction you encounter is a reminder you are not just seen, you are felt, you are impactful, and the life you lead can never be diminished by the quiet unease of those who witness it. Have you ever felt the weight of someone's energy pressing against yours, not in anger, but in an unspoken tension that follows you like a shadow? That tension is not random. It is a reflection of the truth you carry effortlessly. Your confidence, your clarity, your refusal to shrink to fit someone else's expectations. When a person feels unsettled in your presence, it is often because your existence challenges their perception of the world and their place within it.